Hi guys, little present for my daughter. She knows I like taking things apart. She was taking this to the recycling centre, but she's given it to me instead. It does actually work. I guess those are heat settings. So we've got a Remington Total Performance. Got anything else written on there? Remington 220, 240 volts, 1850 to 2000 watts. Model 3200. Serial number 4301. Yeah, okay, well, we'll unplug it, let it cool down a little bit as well, and see if we can take it apart and have a look inside. Just looking inside, see what sort of screws it is. It's the ones with two prongs on them, on the head. Just long enough to reach in. Dropped it on the floor. The dust. There it is. It's a shame it's working, because that probably means I'll keep it. I had intended to strip it apart in a one-way teardown. That doesn't want to suddenly spring apart now. Looks like we might have to undo these bits as well. And I was looking for a sliding switch for one of the projects I'm working on, but that one's too big. That's what I'm talking about there. That's about double the size. So what's holding you together now? Do we just have to be forceful? Right, well, easing around here, we've got a couple of little pillars and posts that are coming loose. Oh, really not getting any further. Right, I think we made progress there. Levered this up a little bit and we've come clean along here. That's a little clip that's broken. Yeah, that was the one that was holding it there. Now that that's come loose, the rest of it's come loose. Okay. Well, if you haven't looked in these before, this lot here is nichrome wire. Hang on, we're out of focus. Yeah. These springs, as they look like, that's nichrome wire wound round lots of times. That's what heats up. Just gonna, yeah, that's just gonna come apart easily. Okay. That doesn't want to, oh yes it does. It does want to slide off. That's a better view of the wire. So that's the heater element. And then here is an ordinary DC motor with 4 diodes on it. Let's go close up. 4 diodes in full bridge rectifier arrangement. So the power comes in on the red and the blue, but it's actually AC because this is an AC supply. But the full bridge rectifier rectifies that to DC. So we have a DC motor running off of, on the face of it, 240 volts. But it isn't. That'll be about a 12 volt motor, and the voltage is dropped across the heater element. So when you take the heater element and add up its resistance, that's what drops the resistance. So you can run a 12 volt battery off it, 12 volt battery, 12 volt motor off it. I did lots of teardowns of hairdryers years ago because one of the charity shops was selling them off at £1 each. So I bought 10 of them. They're not all running on DC motors. There are some that have small AC motors, but that's what this one is. DC motor, full bridge rectifier to drop it down, to rectify it from AC to DC. Then we have a switching arrangement here, which I think will be connecting up the different parts of the coil. It's split into various pieces, as you can see by these connectors going up inside. So depending on where you set this, depends on how much of the heater element you're actually using. Now let's go back out to, that's, yeah. Depending on where this is set, will depend on how much of the heater element you're using. I'm just looking. That there will be a thermal fuse. So if it overheats, that will actually cut the current or cut the flow. That looks like a really big diode. I haven't seen one of them before. That's interesting. It does look like a diode. I can't, oh, the writing is on the back of it where we can't quite see it. But being as it's black with a silver end on it, that does look like a really big diode. And then that will also be a thermal contact, bimetallic strip, which will heat up and drop down, I would think. Yeah, bimetallic strip. Yeah, that one should hold it at the right temperature. If it gets too hot, it'll open. Whereas that one will completely blow if it gets too hot. As far as I can see, something like BF169E. I can't quite read everything else. 190 underneath it. Oh, and if we could turn it around far enough, just on the back of it, it says something degrees C, which will be the heat that it blows at. Right, well, what I do with these, or what I've done in the past, is just pinch the DC motor out of them, because they're nice motors. Use them in my boats and that sort of thing. Got anything written on it? Johnson written on it. Yeah, well, being as I've broken that bit of plastic, probably shouldn't put it back together, because it could potentially come apart when you're drying your hair with it. So we'll do what my daughter intended to happen to it, which is take it to the recycling centre and get rid of it, dump it. I could pinch the buttons out of it, switches. That's a momentary push switch. That's a 3-position switch, which, as I say, is what I wanted for one of my projects, but that one's much too big. And that one's a 4-position switch. Dual pole, 6 wires on that one, or 8? Oh, I think that one's actually got 8 on it. Yeah. And that one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Yep, I'll cut the switches out, put them in my box of switches. I have got quite a bit of this, whatever wire it was that nichrome wire. Use it for, you can straighten it out and use it for cutting foam. Hot wire cutting on foam. If I remember, I'll put a link in my video description to one of them. Made some foam aeroplanes with them several years back. Yep, that'll do. I haven't fully intended to make it a one-way teardown, but once that bit of plastic's broken, I don't want to try and put it back together, because there's the potential it might come apart in your hands. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment so I know how I'm doing. And somewhere up here there'll be some links to related playlists. Thanks again.